It is time now to go inside out for more on the Knicks as we are joined by our NBA insider Ian Begley. And the Knicks couldn't come up with that big stop in the fourth. Ian, what was the key to Houston being able to be so effective on offense late?
Well, Alperen Sengun was a handful for the Knicks, and with Karl Anthony Towns in foul trouble, the Knicks threw several looks at Sengun throughout the night. He was tough late. And then also Fred VanVleet coming alive. The Knicks really had trouble slowing him down also throughout this game, but particularly early on. So Knicks perimeter defense, point of attack defense was a little bit weak in that first half. Rockets got out to a big lead, and they were able to execute down the stretch.
Fred VanVleet, a name Knicks fans remember well from those trade rumors about 4 years ago. But do you think the lack of Knicks depth hurt them down the stretch against the Rockets?
Without a doubt. I mean, all night long, right? Because Miles McBride, I believe he did not hit a shot, missed all of his attempts tonight. I think the only bench points came from a Tyler Kolek three. And on a night where you didn't have campaign, Karl Towns in foul trouble, Precious Achiuwa still nursing that hamstring injury, the Knicks' depth was laid bare. Not a deep team when everybody's healthy, but then when you have the injuries to Payne and Achiuwa, even less depth, and I think that was an issue for this club tonight. And I think it's something that you're going to see over the course of this season, particularly early on as the group kind of defines its identity, gets itself together with all these new pieces, getting accustomed to each other. I think that depth is going to rear its head in a negative way early on this season as it did tonight in Houston.
Yeah, definitely a night to forget for Deuce McBride. So, Ian, the Knicks made some news on Monday, signing former Pelican Matt Ryan to a contract. He has some local ties, that's for sure. So you've been on this for a while. What can you tell Knicks fans about Ryan and the contract?
Yeah, so Ryan has agreed to sign with the Knicks. The details of the deal, the final details are not known yet. It's still to be determined because Ryan can either take a two-way contract with the Knicks as they convert Ariel Hukporti to a standard deal, or he can take a standard deal from New York. The Knicks have to get to 14 standard NBA contracts by tomorrow. By converting Hukporti, they get to 13. Whether they sign Ryan to that standard deal or two-way deal is to be determined. But we know that Ryan will be on this roster in one form or another, and I still would expect the Knicks to keep their options open with Landry Shamet, who's rehabbing that dislocated shoulder. I would expect them to bring him back if he can make his way back to the floor. But yes, Mr. Basketball in New York, Matt Ryan, will be on this roster at some point later this week.
Yes, he was Mr. Basketball at Iona Prep before going to the University of Notre Dame. So, Ian, quickly, how much play do you think he'll get for the Knicks once he gets in uniform?
You know, they need shooting, right? They don't have the shooting, and we talked about the bench depth, and Tom Thibodeau has talked about the importance of shooting a lot early on this season. So I would expect him to get some minutes early on to see if he can get it going for this team from the perimeter. Hit 45% of his threes, I think, last year with New Orleans. Can shoot it, has shown he can shoot it in this league, and the Knicks will be looking for that once they get him onto the roster again at some point later this week.
All right, the Knicks now head to Atlanta to take on the Hawks. Ian Begley, thanks as always for joining us here on Honda Sports Night.